I'm joined now by Dublin Victoria Spanish star Mick Bohan. That was some performance. You could argue though that perhaps either Galway never got out of the traps or you never let them out of the traps.
What would you think?
As a Galwegian, I'd love to say they never got out of the traps, but I think really you never let them out.
Yeah, I thought our work rate in those early periods of the game was immense. We were particularly happy with the defensive end, not just our backs, I'm talking about all over the field. I thought we didn't give them much air to breathe, and obviously that takes phenomenal hard work. But equally, we're very aware of how good a team Galway are. 3 minor All-Irelands in 8 years. Lots of girls who were very confident in playing the game. So we kind of felt we had to deprive them of any belief early on in the game, and I think we did that.
That sounds really, really cold, I suppose, when you say we had to deprive them of belief, but I suppose that's the difference at the top, isn't it? That's what makes a champion.
Well, at this level, I think we've been on the receiving end of it long enough, so I think everybody knows that it is, unfortunately, it isn't a time for, nurturing people. It's all about success, unfortunately, in spite of the fact that it's obviously a lovely time in their lives, and particularly if you happen to be winning a couple of trophies, it makes it very special. But yeah, it's cold and it's ruthless and it's cutting, but that's sport at the top level. But I think everybody knows that when they engage.
This time round, it's up against Cork again, which some would say you could have a hoodoo against Cork when it comes to big days. What's going to be different this year?
Well, I suppose we've a completely different management team. None of us were involved, I suppose, during those dark days that the girls were on the receiving end of it from Cork. We broke the hoodoo in Croke Park last year. We beat them in the National League, or this year should I say. I suppose it didn't mean a whole heap at the time, but it probably does now. We've 2 National League titles, 2 national titles under our belt since we last played Cork. All that brings its own self-belief, and we think the group has matured hugely. But for sure, it's going to be a fantastic contest. We know how good Cork are. They've never gone away, really. I mean, last year they were a kick of a ball, a penalty miss away from being in an All-Ireland final, and that's what decided the outcome ultimately of that game against Mayo. So we look forward to the challenge, and I said it last year, the 2 best team gets the All-Ireland final and the best team wins it, and it won't be any different this year.
Finally, you had a great performance, but not a perfect performance. You've got some things to work on, perhaps as well, how, despite the fact that you were so dominant, Galway still kept sneaking in the scores to at least make the scoreboard look a bit more respectable. If a more ruthless team might have gotten a goal or 2 and driven on. For
sure. I mean, we gave them oxygen back in the second half. A couple of crossfield balls that were just poor decisions when we were in control of the game. And rather than just keeping possession and controlling the tempo, we handed it back over to them, and that's stuff that'll be back on the training ground from next week. But ultimately, and I think everybody knows this as well, you want to go into an All-Ireland final with something to work on, and we were given that in the second half.